Brodes Media.
Gritty effort. Ew, I hate saying that. I didn't mean it that way. Gritty, no pun intended. Anyway, if you're new to the channel, smash the subscribe button. Thank you so much. Hit the thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate it. And real quickly, if you're looking to buy tickets to NHL, NBA, NFL games, you can utilize the promo code BRODES at SeatGeek's checkout page for $20 off of your purchase. You're basically eliminating all fees right from the jump. It's a no-brainer. Get yourself to a game. And with that being said, enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. Carter Hart. Oh, man, Carter Hart. Hello, Carter Hart. Are you human? 39 saves down in Carolina. That was a grind-out win that this team definitely needed. Now, there's a lot to complain about, and I think it's very valid to complain about the power play and how abysmal it is, where Carolina is basically getting more grade A chances on their penalty kill than you are power play. You can't even set up, right? I mean, I know we keep screaming that you have to get back to the basics, but we are basically witnessing this. You can't even get out of your own zone, and you have a power play when you have a 2-1 lead late in the third period, and that's what you're giving me? You have to be able to be smoother than that. They took a lot of penalties that I did not love. Now, naturally, this was a game where you were going to find yourself in the box a lot by the way the refs were calling the game. How many times do we see Rob Brindamore losing his mind on the bench and trying to work the refs as much as possible? And I'm not saying he's the reason why. I'm just saying organically we were going to see. We're already a team that we have talked about throughout the first 10, 11 games or so of being in the penalty box too much. And now factor in that this refereeing tandem, we're already going to call the game tightly with some of the slashes and some of the penalties just based off of some body contact, which is ironic that they missed the one where Sanheim gets crushed from behind and Ristolainen tries to show his worth a bit throughout that time. But look, regardless here, while there were so many problems and they did not deserve to win this game, we keep talking about how important this stretch is and how they have to win some hockey games, and they just beat a team. In that third period, right, where they were not playing their best hockey throughout the first 40, you're on the road against a team that does not allow a lot of third period goals. Freddie Anderson is playing magnificent. They have a lot of firepower on the top of their roster, and you won that game. Scott Lawton, Joel Farabee getting on the score sheet, your fourth line, and Justin Braun being the one to throw the wrister on net. MacEwen in front with a beautiful tip to take the lead. Your fourth line is out there late because Alain Vigneault is trusting them, and I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. I did see some fans on Twitter upset that AV went in that direction. Sometimes you got to get a feel of the game. Everyone's always talking about, hey, as a coach, you got to get feel. Just base it off of feel. Well, they were probably one of your strongest lines to that point. It's not as if I felt extremely confident in those other lines tonight at times. So, hey, look, they have the energy. They have the rise. Keep in mind, the Flyers waived NAK today, which ironically enough, your fourth line plays the way that they do, and someone's going to be coming out soon with Kevin Hayes entering the lineup. So it will be interesting. But I'll tell you what, love the way MacEwen plays. Love the way that Patrick Brown plays. I think he was noticeable at times tonight, and even in the last game before they went down to North Carolina, that was against the Maple Leafs. He gets a breakaway. It wasn't a full-on breakaway. Maple Leafs ended up getting back on the back check and angling him off, but it was just a play in the defensive zone that you start pursuing in transition and going up ice. He's done that a few times now, and I like that acquisition. Nate Thompson, him and MacEwen right now are playing with some rhythm. But without Carter Hart being as magnificent as he was, and it wasn't as if the Flyers limited the Carolina Hurricanes to just a lot of shots, but from outside the perimeter. No, these are backdoor wide open, and luckily sometimes Claude Giroux is sliding over and blocking a shot, or at least getting a piece of it, so it allows Carter Hart to go from post to post in his crease and push over and stop the puck from there. There were some posts in play. Hell, there was an offsides call that called a goal back. So maybe we're talking about a 2-2 game that goes into overtime, but it was a good challenge by Alain Vigneault as Carolina was clearly offsides. Carter Hart was standing on his head, and I don't even think standing on his head is enough to really define how sensational and how sharp he was. The rebound control was there. There were breakaways and guys left wide open when Carolina was coming out of the box. Big breakaway happens. He was there right at the end of the period. You can list off 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 chances for Carolina that they normally bury on. Now, half of me says, what the hell? Why is that even happening? And the other half says, Carter Hart, baby. You have a goaltender that can actually steal you games now, legitimately, consistently. You have two goalies that are playing unbelievable at the moment. You need that. You cannot succeed in this league without it. But based off of last year, I think just from the mental aspect of the confidence, it's so crucial for Carter Hart to start the season the way that he has. And you know what? Last year, what was the problem? All the issues in front of him. Guys being left wide open back door. The difference now, though, with this situation is it's not every night. It's not every night. Okay, it happened tonight, and you have to clean things up. But this would happen over an 82-game sample size, and you just can't keep your head above the water when it's consistently happening nonstop over and over and over again. Once in a blue moon, or once in a while, once every 2 weeks, once every 7 games, yeah, you're going to have a sloppy game. You're going to have a game where you look across the way and Svechnikov. Did you just see what the hell just tried to come out of my mouth? I'm sitting here trying to say Kokiniemi and Svechnikov, and I tried to combine the two, and I don't even know what the hell just came out of my mouth. It was like half stutter, half trying to combine the two names together. Jarvis, kid can play. I can't believe that just happened. But I digress. We'll keep it in there. These players are lethal weapons. Tony DeAngelo on the power play, my guy, Tony D, who's off to a ridiculous start for Carolina after everything he went through in New York. He's running the top of the power play. He's got his vision in check. He's trying to throw pucks through the screens. You got to stay out of the box. You got to get crisper on your power play. But ultimately, with 20 miles to go, when you're down against a really good opponent on the road, knowing how important these games are because it's not going to get any easier, that's a test. That's a character test. I think it says a lot about the will and the determination inside that locker room, and it starts with the captain, just to be fair. Now, Alain Vigneault switched up some lines. At times, I saw Giroux, Coetzee, JVR. I saw Joel Farabee, Lawton, and Konechny. I'll tell you who I'm really enjoying as of late, though, and I was okay with the trade at the time. Then early in the season, I was miserable with what I saw. Now you're starting to see him get more comfortable out there. I'm not surprised to see it, but Ristolainen is playing better. It started with that game last Saturday, 1 week ago, against the Washington Capitals. From that point, he's been smoother. He's been playing more physical. He's been playing with more confidence. It seems confidence is key here throughout the entire roster. But I think Ristolainen is finally settling in. You're getting more practices with Alain Vigneault. You're getting more playing time with Travis Sanheim. And I even think Travis Sanheim is starting to... And look, I get it. Today there were a lot of mishaps in the D zone. I'm just talking about the comfortability factor of I'm seeing Sanheim with more offensive mindset at times where he's blistering, throwing blisters on net, and he just seems to be in more of attack mode offensively. And when you just find your game more, that starts showing more. So, look, just to be clear, there were hiccups in the D zone. There were turnovers in the D zone. There was bad D zone play tonight. First 40 minutes was obnoxiously hard to watch. It was painful. It felt as if they were going to get ran out of the building, or they should have technically, but because of Carter Hart, maybe they were only going to lose by a score of 2-0, and the scoreboard wouldn't truly dictate the pace of the game and the way that the Flyers weren't really involved. So I'm not telling you that Ristolainen and Sanheim are just two defensemen that I'm wowed with tonight. I'm just saying, overall, when I see Sanheim up in the play now, when I see him take a clap bomb like I did against the Toronto Maple Leafs the other night, I'm seeing parts of his game offensively, harder shots, getting shots through, jumping up in the play, and he's doing it in this different way that it just seems long-term, bigger picture. Him and Ristolainen are somewhat figuring each other out as you look at certain shifts out there on the ice. Someone that I'm not really in love with right now, and I know he's had plenty of chances, and he just hasn't technically been able to bury. But I remember talking with a couple of my buddies about this before he had a breakout season years ago. And to be honest with you, I don't feel great saying this based off of us understanding the circumstances that he went through. But with Oscar Lindblom, and I know AV the other night praised him heavily and said if he keeps playing this way, he's going to eventually score. And I'm not discrediting that. At the same time, I think you're just not fully looking at the other night when Nylander scored his first goal. That all started because of Oscar Lindblom on the half wall. He throws a nonchalant pass through the neutral zone. It gets picked off easily. Austin Matthews passes it to Muzzin, who enters the zone and passes it to Nylander, and they score all because of Oscar Lindblom's turnover. And he also got beat back up at that after the turnover and skating back towards his own net to back check. William Nylander beat him up ice. I just wonder, and once again, I don't feel great saying this, but I have to be objective here and use my knowledge on how I felt even before his breakout year a handful of years ago. I wonder, are we overvaluing Oscar Lindblom? Now, when I say that, or should I say, is the organization valuing? Now, look, he's an NHL player. I'm not acting as if he doesn't deserve to be in the league at all, but do we have too much expectations on what he should be providing for you as an NHL player? And when I say this, just anticipate a 6-goal game streak or a 6-game goal streak where he's going to go off and flip me the double bird. We've seen that plenty of times when I start criticizing players. They wake up, they do damage, they become a spark plug. Well, let's see what happens with Oscar Lindblom as they play a back-to-back. And I know this would be different if this was the second half of a back-to-back compared to the first half of a back-to-back, but you know that there's going to be a lot of wear and tear, and it's not going to be easy. And the fact that they stayed true to themselves and really got back to it, started grinding, and you get your fourth line going, Justin Braun gets another point, Joel Farabee finally breaks that streak that he wasn't able to score, and he even said last year that that's something he's trying to crack in on. I don't want to go 8 games, 7 games, 6 games without scoring a point or registering a point. I need to make sure I crack that. Well, guess what? Early stages of the season here, that happened to him, and he responded big time tonight with a huge goal. Great play, get up ice, take advantage. I'm worried about this power play, though. It's getting back to it's hurting you more than it is even helping you or just staying even. I mean, there's times where the power play does nothing, and you don't even gain any sort of momentum, but you don't lose momentum. Now you're actually losing momentum. A serious amount of momentum. Not a little bit, not a tiny bit, like a massive amount where it's terrible to even watch. And if I was Alain Vigneault, and I said this last year, I would throw the flag, and well, not even throw the flag as if you're challenging it, but it should be like football. Do you want to accept the penalty or decline the penalty? I mean, we should be having reasonable conversations about possibly declining the penalty because it's that putrid. The fact that you went into Carolina and handed it to them that way in the third, with Freddie Anderson off to the hot start that he's been on, I can't stress it enough how awesome that is. And I've been in plenty of locker rooms where you find that way, you dig deep internally. Maybe there's something that was said in the locker room after the first 40 minutes, and that can really intensify your momentum. And then, you go back in the locker room afterwards, you're excited, you got the win song going. It's just momentum that is extremely important. Think about if they lost this game and they lose to Dallas. Now you're fighting off a couple losses in a row, and you have talented teams still on their way throughout a long November journey. I don't want to use the phrase stop the bleeding, but if there was to be a couple games here that do get ugly, the fact you come out with 2 tonight, it changes the trajectory of a couple losses here and there that people feel a certain way. And that's why even after the Maple Leafs game, I see Flyers Twitter, and the problem is, look, I have one buddy of mine who's diehard Flyers fan, and he follows the other teams, but his number one is clearly the Flyers, where when things go wrong, he's always complaining about how bad Flyers Twitter is and all that. And I'm like, dude, Flyers Twitter is not even close to what I deal with Eagles Twitter, with Sixers Twitter. So it never truly bothers me. But after that Maple Leafs loss, it was, oh man, this team's a disaster. This team's awful. And I'm going, we're in November, and you're missing missing your top 6 centerman, your number 2 centerman, and you're missing Ryan Ellis. It's hard to truly know what your team is capable of, even though they're struggling to score goals. Maybe they do with Kevin Hayes. Maybe they do with Ryan Ellis. You heard the stat. There hasn't been a defenseman to score since the game against the Seattle Kraken. Maybe that's who they are. A team that doesn't have a lot of scoring from their defensemen, scoring-wise, putting the puck in the net. And I think a product of that, too, is their abysmal power play. You fix that, you have a better opportunity to let one rip from the blue line that maybe has eyes with some good screens in front. And maybe that changes that. But I'm just saying, I don't know, and I don't think it's time to panic yet. You get a huge win on the road tonight. Now, I also got another text from one of my buddies, and he started off with this bad boy. This was the text I got right after the game, 9:47. Flyers got so lucky this game. They owe Carter Hart a fancy dinner and that fourth line. But I'm laughing because, the Flyers did get lucky. They got lucky. They stole one. But guess what? Good teams in this league, they steal one. They do. Your goalie, they take one for you. That's what teams who have talented netminders do. And I tweeted this. There's definitely a ton to be disappointed with. But wow, finding a way to win that game is impressive. Oh, and Carter Hart is so damn legit. So to be 100% honest, my tone throughout the first 40, significantly different than where we are right now. With that said, I can't devalue their effort and their character. We learned something about who they were tonight. Leaving everything out there, blocking shots. Giroux sliding over. Provorov, TK getting in front of the lane. Justin Braun getting over the lane. Not only that, not only was Justin Braun blocking shots and all, but how about the fact that he's doing these simple things where I laughed at the play of the game today. It was a simple, just stick in lane, odd man rush, pokes the puck free, transition the other way. Justin Braun is just being as simple can be, and some, don't get me wrong, he's adding to that. He's being simple and some, but I can't devalue how awesome the simplistic play is and how awesome that snowballs into the success of neutral zone play, defensive zone play, Ivan Provorov's play. We've been through this all the time with Matt Niskanen and Ryan Ellis and how much he needs somebody who can just be steady Eddie. Someone to log in minutes and play basic stay-at-home defenseman style. And look, I guess the difference with that is normally when you say that and you're happy with whoever is on the right side of Provorov, you would imagine that means Ivan is jumping up in the play, joining the rush, being the third guy high, settling into grabbing more points, and that just hasn't necessarily been the case. But I also think he's been strong 5-on-5 defensively. Yeah, you would think he would produce more, but I know that, and it's hard because there were breakdowns all over the place today. So it's weird having that conversation today. I'm more packaging it up as a whole, but just analyzing tonight's performance, a lot to clean up. Let's be real. If this is what you are consistently, you're not winning a lot of these games. Lose 2 periods, and I'm not just talking scoreboard-wise, I'm talking effort-wise. Lose 2 periods, win 1. And still look that sloppy on your own power play to put teams away. You have a chance to knock them out there. KO them. Instead, they're getting all these shots from within 3 feet. And even after they get that initial shot on their penalty kill, they regather the puck. They start cycling down low. They're top lines, though. Oh, man. I'm watching them cycle down low, create all sorts of havoc, right? From the half wall down low. Then they come back up the half wall, cycle back down low. Then they're just rotating where there's a guy high who's in the slot who finds himself into a soft space, or they come up all the way to the blue line, walk the blue line, throw a puck on net, or they go back to the half wall right by the circle, get a good shot on net. But I'll tell you what, Carter Hart saw it all, and that is truly magnificent. All right, let's get to the Anytime Hotline call right here. Hear from the people. Here we go.
That's a big win for the Flyers tonight. The hockey gods finally gave them a bit of puck luck. Once again, the first star goes to Carter Hart. For those that criticized the kid after the last game, I don't really know what you're watching, but he committed robbery tonight and got the 2 points. but I'm going to make a few criticisms of the coaches here. The fourth line did a great job, got the game-winning goal, but why are they on the ice at the end of the game? Made no sense to me. And Michelle Therrien is to the power play what Jonathan Gannon is to the Eagles defense. I know we talk about changing personnel on the power play. Maybe we need to change the coach because that power play is just hot garbage. When the best chances are generated by the other team shorthanded.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. And I guess my counter to that is, well, look, there's no way, shape, or form that I'm going to sit here and not say Michelle Therrien deserves a lot of blame for what's happening here. But at the same time, Claude Giroux, Keith Yandel, Sean Couturier, JVR, you can enter the zone. I mean, you don't have to be told how to enter the zone. These guys have played plenty of power play in their lives. They've logged in way too many minutes in the NHL. You could have those 5 guys on the ice, tell them nothing. Don't tell them a damn thing. Do not even mention what to do at all. And I say, go get in the offensive zone. You're going to know. I mean, there's basic things to do to get yourself inside that zone and set up. And even when you do get set up, there's basic overloads. There's basic umbrellas. I'm not saying they don't tell them to do anything specific. I'm just trying to put that in perspective of, when you have this talent on a 5-on-4, there's just basic fundamentals in zone entry and power play setups that are known by everyone who does it. Now, to be fair, that the PK knows too, right? The PK guys have been against that as well their whole lives. There are certain PKs that you run that are just basic and standard and generic to force them to be uncomfortable in the neutral zone, to try and stop them from their zone entry and collapsing at a certain point right inside their own blue line to force some sort of dump in, and then maybe you can beat the Flyers to the loose puck in the corner and send it back down. Look, there's plenty of ways to analyze this, but I will say at the same time, while I have my eyes targeted on having to do different things other than just changing personnel, there's too much talent on that ice. When you have one extra guy, the fact that it does look this abysmal, I mean, come on. You're too good for this. G, Cootsy, TK, you're too good for this. Keith Yandel, the guy's logging in 7,000 games in a row. You've been on the power play for how long and how many cities? Let's get ourselves in the zone here and establish, please. So you're right, though. You're right. Now, with the fourth line, I don't have an issue with it. I don't. I've been in plenty of moments and plenty of locker rooms where some lines just have it that night. Some lines are, and maybe it's a product of other lines not having it as much, which means this line was the one that had it more. Doesn't necessarily mean that they were perfect or they were sensational or they were insanely legit to a top level. But, I mean, you do have to give them credit where sometimes if you're buzzing and you're rolling, and it didn't cost them, it did not cost them, sometimes you just roll with the hot hand, and I don't have an issue with roll. That's like, let's say Furkan Korkmaz has 32 points, and it's the fourth quarter with a couple possessions to go, and they draw up a play for Furkan. Or let's say, I don't know, Shake Milton. Shake Milton has 27 points. It's the fourth quarter with 3 minutes to go, and Doc Rivers draws up a play for Shake Milton instead of Tobias, instead of Joel. But the guy's got 27 points, and he has 4 3-pointers to that point, and let's say he's shooting 4 or 5 from 3 or something along those lines. Like, I could live with it if it makes sense in that time frame, in that window. So with that being said, it is what it is. I'm not too worried about it. Nate Thompson, veteran. I can't go as far as the other ones the same way, but I'm okay with it. I can live with it. I definitely can. And that's kind of how you get your respect with your coaches. And they kind of alluded to that on the broadcast as well when Rob Brindamore kept out their second power play unit after their first power play unit had a 5-on-4. There was a delayed penalty. They ended up holding on to it for 3,000 minutes more. It was a 6-on-5 because they pulled their netminder, or what would have been, it would have been a 6-on-4. Nope, it would have been a 6-on-5. They had the extra attacker because the original Flyers penalty ended, and they stayed with their second unit instead of going back to their first unit. Sometimes it just shows. You win out there. You look okay out there. If that second peeper went out there, or maybe not even that, because that's not fair to say. In that moment, they didn't even look fine. They didn't have a chance to look fine because the original power play was out there forever. I'm botching this story. My point is this. When the coach sees something that you're doing well and you get rewarded, there's a respect level between the players and the coaches of, hey. And then there's times where it's like, hey, let's just give this second unit a power play chance. The first power play was out there forever. There's a respect of, all right, coach, here we go. Thanks for giving us this. Now, let's make them look good. So that's where I was going with that, even though I botched it. With that being said, we're going to end things here. I'm curious how they play against the Dallas Stars tomorrow night, second half of a back-to-back. It took a lot of energy tonight. Will they continue that hotness of the third period? We shall see. I want to thank everybody so much for listening to this episode of Sports Talk with Brodes, and I will see you next time.